Wait, you can still roll 6 primaries on a legacy item? Alright, dude, this is actually huge. Alright guys, so we're going to be doing something that is kind of dumb, potentially. I don't know if it actually works like this. I've only seen what people say on forums. So what we're going to do is going to be attempting to reroll a legacy item, which you should not be able to do, but sometimes there are certain patches that mess with the game. And so let me explain first off what the heck a legacy item is. So this is a legacy witching hour. This is obtained from vanilla Diablo 3. We're talking pre-Reaper of Souls. The stats on it are a little bit lower on some of the areas. However, you can roll multiple main stat. You'll see that there's strength, dex, and intelligence, which will never roll on a newer witching hour. It also technically has 5 primaries as opposed to 4. What would happen in Diablo 3 is it would roll multiple numbers on different stats, so you could technically get higher than like 244 strength if it rolled strength another time, which is, I know it sounds weird, but basically you would roll a lot of different stats that can roll multiple times, and that would increase the number of it, if that makes any sense. But really what it comes down to is this is a really old item, it's worth a lot of money. Some of the really old items, like the Zunimassa, feet, they actually increase your damage. It just would straight give you flat extra bonus to poison damage, which would proc other things. There's a lot of like game-breaking things, but basically the Legacy Witching Hour offers additional attack speed that you can never get again. You will never see a 9% or even an 8% Witching Hour. The new Witching Hour, which is what you guys will be getting in the game as of, well, I'm not sure what the exact patch was, but basically what it comes down to is you'll be able to only get 5 to 7% attack speed. The older ones can theoretically be better because of this, and you can never roll these again. I don't know if it actually works as far as re-rolling it, as in reforging it, so we're going to go ahead and do that in this video for science. And if I actually lose this item, I'll be quite upset, but you know, at the end of the day, we did it at least for a video, so at least I get that out of it. But this one is a little bit like meh because the stats aren't like ideal anyways. It's not like insanely good, as in it's not 50% crit, 9% attack speed, and then like a really high number on one of the like strength, dexterity, or intelligence, and only one of them needs to be high in order for it to be super valuable. I do plan to make a video going over a lot of the more viable legacy items. Now this is like what I consider like a kind of legacy item, as in it has been changed. So here's what Manal Heal does now. Manal Heal right now makes it so enemies stunned with paralysis take a certain amount of damage as lightning, and it's only for wizard anyways. But with the older Manal Heal, you can actually roll Discipline, and this is actually best in slot for very specific Demon Hunter builds that don't want to do Focus and Restraint. So where it becomes viable is using the set piece for the Unhallowed Essence. So with increased Discipline, you will get increased damage. Now, you can never get this Manal Heal ever again. It's called Legacy. Well, it's a slight Legacy item. Some of the older Legacy items like this, which we're going to go ahead and attempt to reforge. I don't know if it's going to be working. But this item over here, this is actually worth something because you can't actually trade it. I've seen people sell items on JSP for hundreds of dollars. We're talking about old things that are like so game-breakingly broken. Like the Natalia's old set would give you, if you had enough resource cost reduction, you would regenerate discipline so fast that you basically could maintain things that you normally aren't supposed to in the game. They're not really that useful in most scenarios, but there's people that want certain items that you can never get again, and they're super rare and super expensive to obtain. But this Manal Heal would be something that would be considered like almost perfect. I mean, it doesn't have the amount of crit hit damage, but the most important thing is it rolls to have that 10 discipline, because that's an additional 3,500% bonus damage that you're going to be getting out of multi-shot and any of the generators. You can't get this again. I actually have several Manal Heals, and it doesn't have to be just on Demon Hunter. You can see this one I have plus to Max Fury on a Barbarian, which is, this one's pretty much perfect. I mean, ideally you would roll off the main stat, but it's still only going to be for that class. There's really not too many things other than there's like some boulder toss that can do plus damage when you have like, it expends all of your fury. There's also things for like wizard, like for like meteor, where it like consumes all of your arcane and it will do a massive amount of damage. So there are items that are just, again, going to outclass maybe everything in the game. Obviously this one would have to be like ancient because it would need to be for like an LOD build, but I'm just trying to explain that there are uses for these other things other than like the Demon Hunter one. But that's just the one I know of, and this is the one that I have that I will not be rolling. The one I will roll over here is this one. It did roll perfect crit hit damage, but the vitality and the life per hit is pretty much useless. You either want, it's usually crit hit chance, crit hit damage, and cooldown reduction to make things viable. So to go ahead and reforge it, we're going to go ahead and do that. So I wanted to explain one mechanic really quick. So some legacy items, and I'm going to go ahead and move my cam out of the way, you can reroll. Like this again, this is like a halfway legacy. It is account bound, so you can't trade it, but you can still reroll the stats on like this one. But it is considered an older version of an item that could theoretically be the best in slot. Now, I've heard a lot on forums, which is like what happens when you put it in the cube. I know for a fact if you put it in the cube, you will get the newer effect of whatever the item is. However, I don't know what happens if you reforge the item. And this, dude, I'm going to be so sad if this actually goes away. Alright, but we're going to do it for the sake of the video, for science. We're going to reroll an item. I don't actually know how much this is worth. I don't check out the RMT on JSP on every item. But I know that this is an item that you can never get again. And we're going to try to reforge it to see if it reforges as a new Witching Hour. Or is it going to reforge as the older, like, half legacy one, which would be like... Well, let's just go ahead and find out what happens. Oh my gosh, it reforges it as a level 63 item? And it can never, it reforges it? Wow. Okay, so that was a terrible idea. It has higher primary stat, but now I'm kind of curious, what happens if I put it in here? But you can't enchant them, but you can re-roll them? So I'm curious to know what will happen. Maybe if I re-roll it, it'll change the required level. I don't know. I might actually do some more science with this later down the line. But let's go ahead and see what happens with the Monald Heal, because this is on non-season, so like I don't have that much resource over here because I was doing other stuff. But I'm curious to know what happens with the older Monald that actually has that discipline. Does it roll with the new effect, which is the wizard, or not? I don't know. So let's go ahead and find out what happens when we re-roll this. Transmute failed over here, so you can't even oh, you know what we were trying to extract. That's the wrong recipe. Okay. Anyways, Monald Heal. Let's go. Oh, we roll it to be ancient. Wow. Okay, this could actually be pretty interesting. So this means that you can still re-roll the. I mean, technically it's kind of legacy. It's like an older version of an item, but this is like actual legacy, the most valuable one. And I do want to make a video going over all the legacy items that are impossible to get in the game. But because we have, what do we have? How many more rolls do we have with this? We can roll this 2 more times. I want to know if it's possible to actually get higher stats, as in, can we actually get like, is it possible to get 50 crit and also that 9 attack speed? I don't know. It rolled int out of all of them, which is very interesting. So let's go ahead and re-roll it and see what we're going to get. Okay, so we got increased magic missile damage, which is not ideal. I don't even know if you can get that in the older form of it, but this is our last roll, guys. Hopefully it'll be good. And it rolled with... Wait, you can still roll 6 primaries on a legacy item? Alright, dude, this is actually huge. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this. So this is one day after my first initial recording, because I didn't even know it was possible. Again, this is an item from 2012. Now, interestingly enough, things that I've noticed with this, and this is why I'm kind of making a video like the second day after, is that I've noticed that it's locked the item to the account. So that's unfortunate. I can't sell it for like real money now or trade it, because previously legacy items you could trade. Like, it was totally fine. You could still trade to this day items from 2012. Now, the reason why this is huge that can roll 6 primaries is because potentially this is an item that is still the best in the game. Now, unfortunately, I did lock it to my account, so that's a huge like downside to it. but it looks like it's also changed the level of the item. Previously, you guys saw that it was level 60, and now it is actually 63. And the reason why this is actually huge is because I don't know what causes this. I don't know if you can actually change that level to be 70. And the reason why it's very important is I believe you can only get Ancients at 70 to go ahead and augment, which would make it viable for endgame content. But also, looking at the stats over here, it again has 6 primaries. This is insane because you can never get 6 primaries on a Witching Hour. The Witching Hour is usually going to be crit hit damage, and then you have attack speed, and again, that only rolls up to 7%. Now, because this is level 63 item, it can't roll that 7%. However, how it worked in original vanilla D3 is you could roll attack speed twice on an item, so you would theoretically happen to be able to get basically stats that you can never get in the game. And that also was true with the main stat. That's why originally you guys saw it had 3 primary different main stats, which was strength, intelligence, and dexterity, all rolled into one Witching Hour, which you would never get that in the game. Now, I want to do more science. I don't have the mats for it now, but I also want to kind of follow up and talk a little bit more about some of these legacy items, because this is a whole new door for more Diablo content that you would never see on YouTube. In fact, I was trying to search up on forums and stuff, all the information. They said that you can't reforge a legacy item, but there was no proof because 1, no one really had the item. 2, the people that had it probably would never want to test it out, but we did it for you guys, so hopefully you enjoyed it. So drop a like on it for attempting something kind of dumb. Now, the worst part about this is that it is locked to my account. Now, if I can reforge this, and I do plan to make a video following up on it, it's just I don't have the materials to reforge here. I want to see if I can reforge this for 2 different reasons. 1, for obviously science, but I could actually have the best Witching Hour potentially in the game if I re-roll it enough. This is what it would require though. I need it to be level 70. I need it to be an Ancient so I can augment the item because that's what it requires for augmentation. I need to actually not have the increased spectral blade damage. I would need it to roll, well, obviously if it can roll to 70 and be Ancient, then obviously the stats are going to be high on it anyways. But I would also need to run like an LOD build, and I'm not sure what I would run, but at the same time, if I can get that attack speed to potentially be 9 and that crit to be 50, that would be absolutely huge. But even if it only rolls, let's say like 6% attack speed, 50% crit, I get 2 extra stats that you can never have on a Witching Hour, which would be, let's say, armor and life percentage, which you wouldn't be able to get because this is basically what a really good Witching Hour looks like. It's just going to have that crit damage, that perfect attack speed, which again, now it's 7. I don't know if I'm going to be able to reroll this and, like, let's say you lose 1 primary, so it would just not have that 82 to all resist, but it would basically have attack speed twice, therefore making the item best in slot and something that you can never replace because you can never get certain things in the game. But I actually did some more research and I found out that there was a brief moment where you can actually go in here and you can throw it in here and actually enchant a legacy item. There was a small window, and the people that have those items, if you have those, please contact me because I want to do some more science stuff with it. And I can't take your item anyways because it's account bound, but I would tell you what to do with it, or we could just make some type of content with it, because I think this opens up the doors for a lot of potential here, because the secondary stats in Diablo, most of them aren't actually very good. There are some items that have legendary abilities, like for example, like multi-shot. You can't like roll that off. That's just like inherently in the item. But most of the time, primaries outclass the secondaries like almost every single time. However, what I wanted to actually show you guys is something that is insane. Just having the screenshot alone is amazing. Okay, so this is a manticore with 2 sockets. Those of you guys that played vanilla Diablo 3 understand that this was the best item in the game for like the longest time. There's actually boots with socket too. In fact, I want to make a video going over these super ultra rare legacy items that you just will never see in the game. So if you guys are new here and you want to see that, and you're new here, subscribe, turn on that bell, and I plan to make this video very soon because I'm just doing a lot of research on legacy items because I think it's an interesting topic and no one has really talked about it at all. In fact, I was doing research on it and I just couldn't find information on it. So anyways, right here we have a manticore with 2 sockets. Now, with an extra socket, what that allows you to do is throw in another emerald, which can give you extra crit hit damage increased by 130. That is super hard to actually outclass. Plus, on top of that, you guys can see that it has 11 attack speed. You can never get 11 attack speed on weapon. It's actually impossible. As far as I'm aware of, the max that you can get without some like specific thing, like for example, this Ying's that I have over here, it happens to roll with the ability for multi-shot specifically to attack faster. That's like, it's very specific, but going over here, you guys can see it actually has 11%. I don't know what the max number is, but I'm really wondering right here is, can the person reforge that to make it a higher level? You guys already have video proof that I have shown you. Not only can you reforge an item, but it changes the requirement of the level. I need it to go to 70 though. I don't know what RNG causes that. I don't know if you can make a character that is going to be able to roll those. Because I was originally thinking that I would be able to somehow get an ancient item that would be legacy, but then it also would have to be through vanilla Diablo, but you can't do that because the cube is in adventure mode, right? So there's a lot of stuff that I want to test out, but I want to know if you can reforge a Manticore with the double sockets, just like I reforged it, and change the level so the item's damage actually will be much higher. Look at this Manticore, guys. It has plus 43% damage. That is so game breaking. If you guys have played Diablo 3, you know that like the weapon damage, it goes up to 10%. You can never roll 43%. But if you can reforge this and make it a level 70 item, you can have a, dude, like, this is actually so insane that I just get so excited about it, because like, I like seeing things that just haven't been done before in Diablo, and that's what I'm here to give you guys and deliver on content. But if you're able to get like double crit hit damage and it's level 70 weapon with double sockets with 43%, you would have like a 5, maybe 6k damage item, which that doesn't exist in the game. So again, I would really love to be able to contact any of you guys that have legacy items to kind of try out and see what happens with some of these. Again, if they aren't account bound, that'd be even better, because I can show what the Zunimassa boots do, because these are actually game breaking. I don't have them. They're a really old legacy item that technically had attack speed, and they had a buff where it would just give you bonus poison damage to everything in the game. It's actually insane. I had them at one point, but I guess I disenchanted them. Most people ended up doing that because they're like, oh, it's a level 60 item and it's not best in slot. But actually, there's a lot of potential with them. Again, if you reforge, just like I showed you guys, you can roll 6 primaries. I want to re-roll this and see what we can do with this. I'm sorry this video is a lot longer than I felt like it necessarily needed to be, but I wanted to explain that there's just so much new content potentially with legacy items. So if you have any legacy items and you're willing to, I guess, re-roll it or let me use it for a video, please contact me on Twitter or comment something down below. Let me know your battle tag and I'll add you or something, and we can try out other things, because you could potentially have the best item in the game. And if it is not account bound, don't worry, I'm not gonna take it and re-roll it unless you're like, dude, just do it for memes, do it for the content, then I'll definitely do it. But again, I think this is cool that an item in 2012 can actually be better than an item that you get today. But we're gonna have to do some more research on it. Like I said, this Manticore over here, if you can roll it to be a higher level, it will absolutely outclass everything in the game, and you'd have to make an LOD build. But at the end of the day, it would be really cool to see some new builds emerge with legacy items, which are, again, so rare that you can't get again. But I also wanted to mention something. Because I had an item that is technically older, if this one rolled ancient, I don't think you can... Someone let me know if you can re-roll a legacy item to be ancient, which I think it requires it to be level 70, which again, it changed to level 1, so I don't know if it can change it again. But this means I can augment the item, which is huge, because if you augment an item, obviously it's just like more stats, and that's considered to be like a way to make an item best in slot, right? But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And if you, like I said, have any legacy items and you want to do some more science stuff, kind of mess around, try out other things, definitely get in contact with me, and we'll try to make some content out of it, or we'll just mess around and see what we can come up with, because there are legacy items that are actually game breaking, and I will be making a video very soon on going over all of the legacy items that I'm aware of that actually have like game breaking elements, or just, again, new content. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a good one. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and I'm signing out. Peace.